I'm here today to show you guys my new favorite Prismatic Warlock build, how it works, everything it entails, and what it's all about. I want to start out this video by saying the picture quality might be in 380p, and I'm sorry. You have to go to the settings and change it to 1080 if you want it to upgrade. I don't know why it's been defaulting to that. I hope it's set to 1080, but my video's been set to 360 by default, so just go into your settings and change that if you want a better picture quality, of course. Alright, now let's get into the main part of this build. Prismatic Warlock's pretty cool. It really truly is a jack of all trades type of class. There's a ton you can do with it, especially now with the bonds. Um, Everyone's been running this Getaway Artist's Bleak Watcher build, which I assembled my own variation of it to just be ultimate turret spam with I paired it with the time chasm. I know time to explain, and it's a lot of fun, no doubt. But for me personally, I think it's kind of boring. You just consume your grenades and it just get turrets. It's a fun build. Don't get me wrong. It's just not my cup of tea. I also tried a few other builds, like I tried a Necrotic Grips plus Thorn build. It also works. I just think you're better off running it on Strand, in my opinion. It's Then you get the suspending portion of it. And then the one I've been running recently is this one, the Fellwinter's Helm build, and this one's really good. It essentially you use the arc uppercut, whatever it's called, and it weakens all the enemies around you. And then every time you get a powered melee kill, it gives unraveling rounds to your two strand weapons. And this new the Call sidearm kicks butt. So I got demo hatchling on it. So that's a very fun role. But that was the build I was running up until today, to where me and Sam finally beat the exotic mission and got an exotic class item. And I'm not kidding you, I got the perfect role for the build I wanted. I wanted something with a good mid-game effect and a good super enhancing effect. Well, I think I got the two I wanted. I got Spirit of Inmost Light plus Spirit of Star Eaters. This combo, well, trying to get the perfect combo with these is hard. I think this is arguably one of the best that you can have for like a jack of all trades build, which I think Prismatic is an expert in. And it's got a very simple gameplay loop and it's very flexible. This build leaves a lot of room for your weapons and mods and what you want to run here. So I guess we'll start with the Prismatic Warlock class. Your super doesn't matter because Star Eater scales buffs your super, so you want a good super. I'm running Nova Bomb. I just like having a quick throw it out nuke onto a high health enemy. Song of Flame is a great option. It helps your teammates. It also pumps up pretty good single target damage. It has good ad clear. I just find this build has plenty good enough ad clear in the mid game that having another super for ad clear isn't fully necessary. It pairs well with Hellion too. You could even run Needle Storm with this build. I just Nova Bomb's my favorite of the three. Any of the three work. They're all gonna perform well. Uh, the one downside with Needle Storm versus Nova Bomb is one of the fragments, which I'll get to. So I would prefer Nova Bomb over Needle Storm. If you're going for a one and done, I would just choose between these two. I'm just not the biggest roaming super enjoyer, though Song of Flame is probably the best roaming super I've ever played with, so there is that. Um, you for sure want Phoenix Dive to pair with Heart of Inmost Light because you want to be. It's the quickest cooldown, so you want to be spamming it. Melee, for the sake of getting Transcendence, I would go with Arcane Needle. Incinerator Snap is a good option. It's just you're gonna have a really hard time making Darkness ability energy unless you're running a bunch of Darkness weapons, which for this particular setup I'm not. So Arcane Needle is definitely the melee of choice. Plus you get 3 charges, and when you're Transcendence it gives you all 3, so it's pretty nice to just have. Storm Grenade, I'd highly recommend this one. You can run Vortex Grenade if you want the weaken, but while you're Transcendence, you basically get a better Vortex Grenade anyways. So you might as well run Storm Grenade for the mid game aspects. I mean, you're going to be hard pressed to find anything better than Devour, just in general. So you can't really run anything but it, I don't think. You could, but you're really going to be hurting yourself. Bleak Watcher is useless. Lightning Surge is better with a different setup. I mean, not useless. It's useless in this build. Like, it doesn't make any sense to use it. And then you could choose between Weaver's Call or Hellion. I prefer Hellion. I think it's just a better thing. The Weaver's Call would be better if Threadling's got the damage buff from the one fragment on Strand, but it doesn't exist on Prismatic, so that kind of sucks. So I go with Hellion over it 99% of the time. But you're going to be spamming your Phoenix Dives either way with Heart of Midmost Light to try to keep that ability chain going. And then Fragments, since I'm using a kinetic weapon, I'm using Faceted Grace. That way you get extra Transcendence energy, not to mention, especially if you're running Song of Flame, you will fill up your your Transcendence energy really fast. Like, you'll instantly fill the light portion if you want, or Darkness if you're running Needle Storm. Um, Sacrifice, this just helps you catch up the darkness, which tends to fall behind since your grenade and Hellion are both light ability. All you really have to base off of is your Arcane Needle plus your heavy weapon that's either Strand or Stasis to really catch you up. So this helps compensate getting your Transcendence up. Courage, this buffs Snowball on damage by I think 15% as long as you throw an Arcane Needle into them. So ideally, the thing you want to do when you're well that and dominance. So dominance plus this help enhance your super damage even more. So all you have to do before you're gonna Nova Bomb an enemy, you get your Feast of Light times 6 up, and then you throw your Strand Mate. So you pop Transcendence then, and then you throw your this. You throw your Arcane Needle plus your Freezing Singularity. So that's two 15% separate weakening effects that you apply, so it makes your Nova Bomb even stronger. So the more multipliers you add, the better. So the 70% plus the 15%, the two 50% debuffs is pretty good. That Nova Bomb is going to chunk when you throw it. And then this Facet of Hope, when you have Devour, you get your Phoenix Dive back quicker. Just this one is kind of optional. I just like to get the Phoenix Dive back quicker so that when you Phoenix Dive, you get your grenade and melee back quicker, etc. So there's some other ones. What is this? There was a aspect in here to where like this Facet of Awakening, rapidly defeating targets with light or darkness damage, generates an elemental pickup of the matching type. This doesn't seem to do much. I thought that it would make the Storm Grenade make an Ionic Trace, but it doesn't. So if it did, this would definitely be the play over this. Um, your Arcane Needle already makes tangles because it unravels, so that wouldn't make a difference for that. But if this made somehow made Ionic Traces, this would definitely be a must use. I don't know if it's bugged or if that's how it's supposed to work, but I really haven't got to see it in action working properly. Weapons don't matter too much. Kinetic weapon with that specific artifact, or not artifact, fragment. This one makes it so you kind of want to run uh, a kinetic weapon. So I run Wish Ender with it because it's just a good. Barrier rounds tend to be the weakness for Prismatic here. So Wish Ender covers that, and You have plenty of good ad clearing capabilities baked in to this setup because the gameplay loop's pretty simple. You just spam your abilities off cooldown. Oops. So, Wish Ender's good high chunk damage. Indebted Kindness, it's got Volt Shot. So, it's just a good weapon. Indebted Kindness is just a good overall weapon. Has Unstop this season. So you got Barrier Unstop, and then both versions of your grenades stun overloads. So you can cover all champions fairly easily then. And then I run the Mercado. Helps me get my grenades up quicker with Demolitionist. And this is my main way I'm building my Darkness Transcendence energy. And then armor mods on my helmet. I run in Ashes plus a hands-on to try to build my super as quick as possible. And then a kinetic siphon since I'm running a kinetic weapon. It depends what weapons you're gonna use a bunch. You could run 2-strand weapons, like you could go and you could run the Call plus Mercado and then a legendary primary, like I like Hierarchy of Needs, or you could run Graviton Lance, and you could replace Facet of Grace with Facet of Bravery. That way, defeating targets with grenade final blows grants volatile rounds to your void weapons, and then powered melee grants reveling rounds to your strand. So that could be a good play, and you're not running kinetic focus. But on Prismatic, it's the one time you really get to showcase kinetic primaries and the little bit of synergy they do get. So that is an option, and then you would probably want to run Strand Siphon if you did that. The gloves, I'm running a firepower plus a heavy-handed, and then you could run grenade kickstart or melee. Doesn't matter. I'm just running melee kickstarter here. You don't even have to run kickstarts necessarily. You could run another firepower, or you could run another heavy-handed if you wanted to create more orbs, depending on which way you're going. If you were gonna run something like Monte Carlo as your kinetic and get more melees, you wouldn't have to run melee kickstart then. You could run focusing strike, or where is it? This one, impact induction instead. That way, you'd be spamming melees that you could farm your grenade up pretty good, and you could use your armor charge in surges instead. That's an option, but for this setup, that's what I'm using. Chest piece, just running it charged up, and then everything else is kind of whatever. You could run a resistance here, whatever you need. I just got this on just because I don't need a specific resistance. And then on the boots, I'm running an innervation and an insulation. Since I'm running melee kickstart, I'm not running invigoration. And then stacks and stacks just make it so your orbs are stronger. And then the exotic bond. I'm running Reaper, Bomber, and Outreach with this. For sure Reaper, because you're gonna be Phoenix diving a bunch, and then Outreach and Bomber. So ironically, this setup here doesn't seem to work in encounters to where the enemies are pretty like squishy. They tend to work where enemies are a little bit stronger. So I'm gonna go load us into Neomuna to where we're fighting enemies that are a little bit thicker than just falling over. Any other modifications? Not really. I can't think of. Like I said, your weapons are pretty flexible here. You just got to adjust your fragments and such. Alright, perfect. We got the start of a terminal overload here. This is pretty enemy dense, as well as the enemies here are no slouches. So we'll get a good feel for the gameplay loop. Unlike normal Heart of Inmost Light, it doesn't empower the damage. So, I mean, it's pretty simple here. You just use your abilities to get them all back. Because look at how quick we got our grenade back. You just want to spam them out. This is why I like Wish Ender. It's just good overall chunk damage. You get your grenade back really fast with this setup. You get your Transcendence really fast, obviously. Not to mention having Devour keeps you alive here, so that you don't have to feel guilty about using your Phoenix Dive on cooldown. You can just spam it out. We got Transcendence already. So, got now Thresher. Deal with that. Like I said, you get pretty good ability spam here. And you just build up your super as quick as possible. And then once you get your super, you get some orbs, you power it up, you make your super really strong. It's a great combination of mid-game plus super phasing. Like, I got a good chunk of my Nova Bomb there, and we haven't even been fighting enemies for that long, so yep, you just want to keep making sure you use all your stuff. I like the Strand Machine Gun here. This will get me my Dark Transcendence energy pretty quick. Perfect. Now I just need to make enough orbs to power up my super, and then you can use it to absolutely nuke a high health enemy. Let's go out and pick up some of these orbs here. This is why I like Wish Ender. It's a good, reliable weapon for all enemies. You can never go wrong with Wish Ender. I'm just gonna throw that out just to get the next chain cooking. Just don't do that. We got Transcendence again. This will be perfect for building another super. And we want to build super as fast as possible. You could run Bad Juju with this if you really want to build your super quick. I tested it. It's good. I'm not. Bad Juju is one of those weapons where you kind of got to commit to the weapon to get the most out of it. Like, it requires getting Chain of Curses up and keeping it going to where there's a lot of ability spam going on with Prismatic here. So you don't want to waste time shooting guns. Like, this is why Wish Ender is so good, is I don't have to waste time shooting my reloading and worrying about keeping up the chain kills. It's just good, reliable damage. And you get this nice, easy gameplay loop. And we got our super real quick. We're getting our Transcendence real fast again. We're almost Transcendent again, which is crazy. We haven't even pulled out our heavy weapon. We're already Transcendent again, and we're at our max Feast of Light stacks. So, if you want to see some damage... Oh, never mind. I think he is dead. So I wasted that. But, you kind of get the idea. The Nova Bomb's going to hit hard. You don't have to have me show you how hard it's going to hit.